Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you how I converted my bike to electric and gave it a complete makeover. Stay tuned so you don't miss any detail. So first of all, I had to research if it were possible to convert a normal bike to electric. Then I realized that there are several ways to do so, and different brands out there. So after extensive research and reading many reviews, I decided to go with the Bafang. I found the one I wanted on Amazon, but due to restrictions in Belgium, I couldn't get the powerful one, so I just got the 250 watts, which is good enough for me. I just had to choose a display I wanted and the battery capacity that goes with it. The disassembly was quite easy. I just had to make sure everything was removed before wrapping. For the rear derailleur, I had to use a new cable housing because the old one was worn out. I also had to replace the old sprocket, since I'm installing a special e-bike chain and the front sprocket already came with a Bafang conversion kit. The old gear shifter came as a set along with the brake lever. So I had to order a new separate gear shifter since the new conversion kit came with brake levers that had sensors on them to force the motor to stop when braking. I haven't done this before, so I'm not an expert here. I found a few videos for wrapping a bicycle, but no one gave details on how to wrap the welding, because these were the hardest, so I just had to improvise. After applying the vinyl, I used a heat gun to smooth out any imperfections. This was the easiest welding I had to cover, since the vinyl sheet was covering the entire area. For the big holes, I had to cut through them, Then I used the heat gun to stick them to the edges of the frame. For the screw holes, I just had to cut out a perfect circle. For this part, I tried using the heat gun to smooth out creases, but it didn't really work. So I realized that the best way was to peel off the sticker, heat it up first, then place it again on the welding. Again, since I'm not a professional at this, I had some places that my vinyl didn't cover. So I just covered those areas with a small sticker and made sure it's properly placed by using the heat gun. It eventually worked out, and it can only be seen from very close distance. From the inner side of the bracket, I just placed a whole sheet to cover the entire area. This actually worked well. Exposing the heat gun for a short period of time can actually melt the sides of the vinyl without ruining the rest. The rest was pretty straightforward. Wrapping the remaining parts didn't take me as long as the previous ones, because they were mostly flat pipes without any bends. I just forgot to mention earlier that I had to measure the thickness of each pipe so that I don't waste much vinyl. Apart from some imperfections, I was pleased with the final result. So first of all, I went online to find the logo. Then I realized that there were two different logos. My bike is 10 years old, so it had the old one. So I just decided to download the new one since the bike will look new anyway. Then I had to design the new stripes. I didn't want to do something fancy, so I just inserted shapes to form my designs using Microsoft Word. I had to flip each design horizontally so that I would have one for each side. Then I printed it on a photo paper with back sticker so that it can be placed on the vinyl for tracing. Once the designs were printed, it's time to cut them. This took a while since I don't have a plotter, such as a Cricut, but it was fun. Cutting all my designs took about 2 hours. As you can see, removing the sticker was a little tricky, so for next time, I'll just try to find a different material to work with. I ordered the transfer film, but I didn't get it in time, so I just used a transparent Scotch tape instead. For the main chassis logo, I had to do it twice, one for each side. The new Giant logo was mostly straight lines, so I just used my stainless steel ruler. For the main chassis stripes, I wanted the length to be exactly 40 centimeters. But since I can't print 40 centimeters on A4 paper, I had to join the two stickers together. I just had to make sure the lines were straight. Now that everything is done, let's put them on the bike. For this part, I hadn't realized that my vault head was blocking the view until it was too late. Sorry about that. For the assembly, these are the tools that I had to use. I'll leave the details and the list in the description. I started off by installing the controllers, basically everything that went on the handlebar. On the left side, I installed the throttle, the speed controller, and the brake handle. The throttle normally goes on the right side, but I didn't have any space left there. I got used to it eventually. On the right side, I installed the gear shifter, the small bell, my blinkers controller, and the brake. For the screen, I found it easier to place the brackets separately, and then installing the screen afterwards. Connecting the brake cable for the Bafang brake lever is quite standard. I just had to slide the motor into the bottom bracket, but before ordering your conversion kit, just make sure what size your bottom bracket is, because they do have different options for that. After watching many reviews, I realized that these conversion kits have a common problem, where the motor gets loose. So I ordered this special nut, called Lecky 1 nut, that replaces the original 2 nuts and secures the motor to the chassis properly. The front light does not come with the screws, so I just had to use the old screw and nut that I had. For the rear derailleur, I decided to get the Shimano Altus, replacing the old Acer that I had. But after using it for a while, I realized that this was much smoother while shifting. For this step, I only connected the cable, but I had to readjust the tension when everything else was installed. There are a lot of videos explaining how to align the rear derailleur. Now connecting the cables was very simple, as they were all color-coded. You just have to be careful not to bend any pins. They mainly had arrows for alignment. Once the cables were connected, it's time to cover them with cable housing to make sure everything looks nice and tidy. Installing the battery holder was quite simple. Just make sure you secure it properly. As you can see here, there's an extra plug for connecting the gear sensor that does not come with the kit. It can be ordered separately if you wish. The speed sensor has a very unique cable with locking threads. Organizing the cables makes the bike look much nicer. For this, I use the flexible cable housing that I ordered from Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description. Just make sure it's all secured with zip ties. For the speed sensor magnet, it had to be aligned within 1 to 3 millimeters from the sensor so that the speed could be measured accurately. Just make sure you choose a spike that's closer to the frame. The speed sensor comes with double-sided tape so that you can hold it in place while aligning. Just make sure the magnet does not touch the sensor when you turn the wheel. Then you can just place the zip ties. I had to order a new e-bike chain for durability. These are the front light cables, quite easy to connect. Organizing the cables really makes the bike look much nicer and cleaner. For the remaining cables, I could just cut them and make them shorter, but I didn't want to take the risk. So I just wrapped them properly and secured them against the middle pipe, making sure they don't get in the way of anything that moves. I just didn't realize that I was working on the bike's private parts here. Since I'm installing a rack for the baby seat, I had to replace my old mudguards with these. But honestly, I found that these are much better when riding on wet ground. After installing the wheels, I had to make sure the brake cables were connected and aligned before riding. If you've made it this far through the video, I hope you enjoyed watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.